Okay, we have video and I'm hoping audio from Priyesh as well.
Yes, you can check here. Hopefully you can hear me loud and clear.
Crystal clear.
Brilliant.
Okay, so welcome everybody to the webinar today. Um, we've got people attending from all over the world. In fact, we had a brief conversation with someone from who's actually currently in the Philippines from the US, and I can see from the list of people attending, we've got people from Canada, we've got people from right here in the UK, and also from the Middle East as well. So it's great to see that kind of attendance. I'd like to welcome to the webinar today, Priyesh. Hello, Priyesh.
Hi there, Charles. Thank you so much as well, and hello everyone on the webinar. Although I can't see you, lovely to have you on.
So Priyesh was an established Eazi-Business partner for 7 years, running his own really successful digital agency before being appointed CEO of the Eazi-Business network last month. I've actually recorded a couple of video interviews with Priyesh, which I will link to on YouTube if you'd like to watch them at a later date. But for now, what I will say is that back in 2019, when I first interviewed Priyesh, he had already, even after only 18 months, built up a very successful digital agency with a six-figure income. I also interviewed Priyesh at the start of this year for a catch-up, and we explored how he scaled that digital agency and increased its performance by introducing new products, new people, and new processes. If you haven't watched those interviews, it's not mandatory viewing before turning up today, but certainly I would recommend checking them out when you can, because we're going to be going through some new content today and some very exciting releases. Also, as mentioned before we got started, we are going to do a Q&A today. So on your Zoom control panel, there is the option to post a question. If you post one during the interview, I will try and get through as many of them as I can at the end. Okay, so to kick things off, for those of you who haven't watched the previous interviews, Priyesh, could you give us an overview of your journey as an Eazi-Business partner so far?
Absolutely. So I started my journey with Eazi-Business in November 2017. So we're approaching 7 years now. It's been an amazing journey, full of learnings, growth, and scalability from a business perspective as well. So thoroughly enjoyed it, and I would probably say my journey could be pigeonholed into 4 S's. That is start, scale, support, and success. So I'll just qualify that a little bit. The start for me is absolutely critical. It's the training, the mentorship you get, the understanding of the platforms, but also it's the start that you make within your business, by how you market yourself, doing networking events, building relationships. And that is a really key part for the first probably 6 months whilst you're getting into a business. The second S is scale. How do you then take that foundation and build and kick on even further? And that's been very much attributed to developing partnerships, referral networks, so where people are recommending us, and utilizing my existing client base so that they also become advocates of our business and mention us at every single turn. The third S is support, and I think this is invaluable, and it's something that I couldn't have done without. It's an extension of your team. So having a support team, a development team, a design team at Eazi-Business has helped me run the business operationally. So when a project has come in, I've been able to go to the team to fulfill that. If there are bugs, issues or questions from clients that I'm facing, that is a simple email to the team and it comes back to me. So it's I've never felt like I'm alone, which I think is really, really important. And then the fourth S is the success piece, which really, when you put the first three S's, start, scale, and support, it all leads to that success that you've got there. So I would say, yeah, my journey's been fantastic now, where we are hitting close to 500 clients, multiple six-figure revenues year on year now. And so it's been a wonderful journey, honestly, Charles.
So I think many entrepreneurs watching this would see 500 clients as a huge, massive milestone to hit. And you talked about multiple six figures in revenue, which again is representative of a business that's doing tremendously well. I suppose the immediate question that I would have is, why did you decide to make that transition from being this very successful agency owner that's hit some great numbers to actually becoming CEO of the Eazi-Business Network and helping other entrepreneurs?
Yeah, it's a great question, and I think it's all embodied in the why and my why effectively. But I can only answer that if I take you back on a journey. So my journey into Eazi-Business in terms of inquiring started this time 7 years ago, and this time 7 years ago, I was running a property tech startup. Unfortunately, had to fold that, and so that brought all sorts of nuances in terms of my mindset. But I have had entrepreneurship in my blood ever since I left university, and I knew I wanted to set up another business. But I wanted, and I know I needed, an infrastructure behind me, effectively. So a foundation and an infrastructure so I could learn, I could be trained, I could understand solutions, and then I could take that to market and go and sell. And effectively, that's been an amazing journey. But if you track back 7 years ago, I had 0 clients and I closed my business, so I had 0 income. And you fast forward 7 months, my life has transformed. And really, that's my why. I think that Eazi-Business has given me the power to transform my life. And when I was approached about becoming CEO of Eazi-Business, I thought, what an opportunity to transform other people's lives, to change communities, to change families for the better. And really, when you wake up every morning, you want to wake up with a purpose and a sense of doing good and giving. And really, that underpins why I've joined Eazi-Business, because I think that I'm able to create a model based on my own success, but most importantly, it's fundamentally changed my life. And if I can pass that on to even a small percentage of people, I'll look back with great pride. So that's really why the reason behind becoming CEO.
A really, really interesting response. And I think most of the people in this webinar probably like helping others, right? Helping other people, it makes you feel great. It gives you a sense of purpose. But I was curious, on a practical level, I guess, more than anything else, what specific things do you plan on doing to facilitate the success of Eazi-Business partners?
So, as you know, Charles, I've got probably too many ideas. My mind doesn't stop. So we could be here for hours, if not days, if I went through all the ideas that I've got for Eazi-Business. But I think I'll cherry pick 3 for now, just for the sake of the webinar. But there's going to be so much more to come for our network. And the 3 that I would cherry pick are: number 1, the success playbook; number 2, consultation tools; and number 3, custom development. So let me frame those in a bit more detail. So the success playbook, I have tracked back to the last 6.5 years of what I've done to scale this business and try to understand all the different areas, whether it's in sales, whether it's in marketing, whether it's education, whether it's technology, and looked at all the different elements that have added to the success of my own digital agency. And I've actually written a book. It's a very lengthy book, but it's effectively a success playbook based on my experiences, and it's a brain dump of everything that I've done. And I want to share that with our partner network to give strategies, tips, tools, skills, and experiences so that they can almost replicate that and bring that into their own businesses. So that's the first thing that I think is going to have a tremendous impact on our network. It's a blueprint. It's a playbook that you can leverage day to day and learn so that you're constantly improving your digital agency. The second piece is consultation tools. So I have always used quite basic consultation tools, but they work really, really well because it allows me to understand the client. It allows me to build authority, showcase that I understand the industry and understand their business. So actually, I tasked the team at Eazi-Business to build out these consultation tools for both websites and apps, so that it makes your sales process and when you're face-to-face with a prospect really smooth, really high-end, and differentiates you from the marketplace. So I'm really excited about that because I'm personally going to be using those on a daily basis. So I can't wait for those to launch. And then the third piece is custom development. Now, our platforms, websites and apps and SEO are wonderful. They're absolutely brilliant platforms, but you'll always get around 5%. So I've tracked it, around 5% of clients who have a project that is quite complex and doesn't quite fit into the platform. So it's a very small minority. But the beauty is that when you get clients with really complex offerings, the ability to say yes and say, we can actually custom develop this outside of the platforms, and so you can still take that person on as a client, I think is going to add massive success to the network as well. So yeah, I would say those three, amongst a whole host of ideas that I've got, I would probably highlight those three: the success playbook, consultation tools, and custom development. Are big changes in what we're doing.
Excellent. So I think, bearing in mind the audience here, many people don't come from within our industry. In fact, many people, when they're looking at Eazi-Business's opportunities, they're actually looking to launch their very first venture. So I think it might be helpful if we just kind of double clicked on some of these things and explored them in a little bit more depth, starting with the playbook itself. So could you give us some insight into, say, one of the chapters, just as an example, perhaps something that focuses on business development, and kind of tell us how the chapter would be structured. So how would someone that's a novice actually review that information and retain it?
Absolutely. So I'm going to circle back a little bit to actually what's included in the success playbook, and then give you a bit of a detailed overview of just one small part of that. So we've split the success playbook into 12 chapters, and it focuses on how to structure your business, how to be set up for success, marketing strategies, sales strategies, how to close deals, how to handle objections, how to build long-term client relationships, how to scale your business. But then it goes into more holistic things such as goal setting, the power of your mind as an entrepreneur, how you can learn and grow, or what types of books and podcasts you should be listening to. So there's all sorts of information that is there that's really, really valuable. But I'll pick on the launch of a business, and let's start with that. So one of the elements on the success playbook is that we have put together targets for the first 6 months, and these are really digestible targets for the network to go out, and which produces great results and great clients and projects that come off the back of it. So it could be as simple as a checklist of, right, in your first month, you must do 8 networking events. That's 2 a week. Within each networking event, you want to be booking in 2 meetings off the back of it. So that's 16 meetings in a month that you've booked off your networking event. And from those 16 meetings, you want about a 25% conversion, you know, which could equate to 4 projects within that month, something along those lines. So that's the first thing. But also it goes in deeper then, because it talks about networking. So let's talk about, so that follows on, right? You've got your targets, but then how do I get those 2 meetings for each networking event that I go to? So one of the snapshots in there is in terms of how to network effectively. One of the biggest misconceptions within networking is people are often selling. And actually, that's the worst thing that you can do in a networking event. We were blessed with 1 mouth and 2 ears, and I'm a firm believer that you should be listening more than you should be speaking. And then the same applies to a networking event. It's about going to a networking event, talking to people, building relationships, but it's not about selling. It's not about hunting for business. It's about farming. It's about sowing seeds that are there within there. But it also goes into the strategy that rather than selling, if you think somebody could benefit from your service, simply just say, let's book in a coffee. Don't talk about your service. Don't talk about what you can sell them. Say, let's just book in a 1-hour coffee. Would you like to meet next week, Wednesday at 3 p.m.? And it's a much softer approach to booking in those meetings. And then the sales process starts within there. So little things like that. But then I'm going to take it, if you don't mind, Charles, one extension even further. When you're in that meeting, let's say you think the prospect is interested in a website. How do you deliver that website consultation? And I'm going to do a quick screen share actually and deliver in 2 minutes a very, very quick overview of actually how you can deliver a website presentation to sell a website service itself. So let me pull that up for you guys.
Brilliant. Do I have to pretend to be the customer, or am I on your side for this?
You don't. What I'll do is I'll just kick, because it's only 2 minutes, I'll literally just kick into it. And but of course, actually, Charles, if you want to be a customer, feel free to do so. So that's not a problem. So let me know when the screen is open.
Yeah, I can see it. So yeah,
lovely. So when I go into a meeting, one of the biggest things is, how do we differentiate ourselves from all the other people that they're speaking to? A prospect might be speaking to 2 or 3 other web design agencies. And how do you make yourself different, and how do you stand out? And so this is one of the pitches, one of many examples in the playbook that I use. So I'll kick off as if it was a meeting. So what underpins our digital agency is the 3D philosophy. And what are the 3Ds? They are design, DNA, and development. So strong design is focusing on layout, styling, colors, fonts, what imagery we use, but most importantly, great user experience. How do we get people or your customers to do what you want them to do as quickly as possible? So that's the first D. The second D is DNA. How do we incorporate your business's personality, uniqueness, and brand, so it doesn't feel like a template and it is actually personalized? The website is personalized to your business. And then the third D is development, the boring stuff, but actually really, really important. How do we make sure your website is fast, mobile friendly, and securely built? And what's interesting is most web development agencies often build good websites and they'll focus on 1 or 2 of these Ds. But actually, when you incorporate all 3 Ds, it enables us to build an exceptional website for your business. So that just gives you, Charles, a very, very quick snapshot of one of the sales scripts that are in the success playbook that is there.
So really, really interesting. And I think if I was on the receiving end of that and needed a site, I would definitely be interested. I did write down 2 follow-up questions, and I was curious to get your thoughts on them. So the first one was, if you're a new entrepreneur and let's say you've been working for someone else for 10 years, 15 years, and every day you come into work and you're given a list of things to do and someone checks you've done it. When you talked about the playbook, you talked about people hitting certain milestones, and not only hitting those milestones, but also, I suppose, being self-motivated enough to hit those milestones. What advice would you give someone who's new to being an entrepreneur and who wants to hit those essential things in order to get the outcome they want?
So, great question. I think the launch and the start of your business is arguably the most important thing. And I'll qualify that. When you start, if you start well, momentum builds, confidence builds. You feel like it's an I can mentality and I can do it effectively. However, if 1 month goes to 2 months, goes to 3 months, and it's been a slow start, that momentum starts to derail and you start to lose a lot of confidence. So for me, the start of everybody's journey within any business, this is not only an Eazi-Business, this is any franchise business, any business per se, is that launch. And I think that that is one of the key benefits to why I joined Eazi-Business, to be honest, because the training, the mentorship that you get for 6 months, the sales skills, the marketing skills that you get, the understanding of how to use the platforms, and that constantly evolves. That gives you a really strong foundation to kick off your business. And I'll qualify it even further, actually. My first project came 2 days after training, and that was because the training was so strong. And so for me, and that gave me so much belief. After 2 days, I wasn't expecting that. And after 2 days to get one project, it almost snowballed. And I was able then to feed off that energy and that positivity. And further meetings that I was going into, I was going in with such confidence. And so even at a very early stage, that momentum was consistently building. So for me, that is arguably the most important part. And I think that, again, circling back, the training, the mentorship, the success playbook, all of these elements are geared towards an entrepreneur's start. Because the problem is when you're starting as a new entrepreneur, there's arguably too much to get your head around. Do I use social media to market myself? Do I use paid ads? How do I sell this service? What scripts do I use? But actually, if you're provided with just bite-sized, simple to digest information, just say, follow these small steps and you can start to achieve good results. It makes it a lot easier. I'm a firm believer that there is elegance in simplicity. I think people complicate things. And so for me, if we're able to simplify every part of an entrepreneur's journey, which is always my aim, and that is what the playbook does, I think we're setting ourselves up and partners up for huge success in the future.
So I guess just to kind of recap on that, you sort of talked about, I guess, two different elements. One is support. So actually at those early stages when you're going from 0 to 1, not trying to do it all yourself, but having mentors, having trainers, having support, having people creating marketing content in the background, and all of those things to lighten the load, I suppose. And then the other thing that you kind of mentioned was simplification. Yeah. So actually following simple steps rather than trying to tackle everything at once to prevent you from feeling overwhelmed. I think when you opened up your website and I saw that page on the 3D process, I was like, wow, this looks like a really well thought out process. It looks like something that's been crafted by a polished agency. Is that achievable for everyone, do you think?
Absolutely. I think, look, it takes time to craft these types of narratives and to understand it, but absolutely. Well, firstly, it does take time. It's education, it's learning. But secondly, I think having Eazi-Business as a foundation, or having a foundation behind you, speeds that process up. It expedites it. It makes it quicker and easier to achieve. And so for me, I think that the biggest thing that we have is that momentum. If you have confidence, everything else follows. So for example, when I first launched, I knew how the platforms worked, but I wasn't an expert by any means. And that was maybe one asset or one area that I needed to improve on. But I didn't overwhelm myself in the early stages, say, right, I need to be an absolute expert on these platforms. It comes with time. And I think there are certain elements in the early stages which are non-negotiable that you have to do. And that's what you focus on. And there are certain elements which are nice to haves, which you will do in 2, 3, 4 months time. And it's in the back of your head, but you do it in a timely fashion. And so I think just organizing or being able to organize the process in your mind is a really big asset. And I think that's what we pride ourselves at Eazi-Business on doing, to be honest.
Definitely. It reminds me actually of a piece of advice I've probably given 50 times when people they come to me and they talk about offering SEO as a service. And they say, Charles, I don't know anything about SEO. How do you expect me to go out there and sell this to businesses? And my advice is always, if you spend one day, just one day going through our training courses on SEO, you're going to know more about SEO than 99.9% of business owners. So you may not be the world's leading expert, but the gap between your knowledge and your prospects' knowledge is actually going to be huge, right?
It is. I'm going to add one layer further to it. Often, to be really successful, it is, yes, you need to understand the product, you need to understand the market, you've got to understand the client base, and that all comes over time. But actually, something that I've learned, and again, it's in the playbook, is service and communication. If you over communicate, if you over deliver, so let's say you tell your prospect, I will reach out to you on Friday, but you reach out on Thursday. And let's say you say to them, I'm going to deliver the first design of the website in 3 weeks, but you deliver it in 2.5 weeks. It's those types of touch points that will separate you from the entire market. Because actually, believe it or not, most people do not do that. And actually, in our industry, most agencies are being chased by their clients. So if there was one thing that I would share, is that all of the learnings in terms of the technology, the platforms, how to use it will come in time. But if you nail that one piece in terms of service and communication from the very start, you will separate yourself from pretty much 90% of the digital agencies that you're competing against.
Definitely. And I think it's also quite likely you'll end up getting referrals because
100%.
people refer you once they trust you, and that trust is earned, it's not given, and it's earned through that communication by exceeding expectations and going the extra mile for people.
Well, trust is say what you're going to do when you say you're going to do it, and deliver on that or over deliver on it. And I think that if there's one philosophy or principle, and it's earmarked in that playbook, if there's one philosophy or principle that I would put right at the top of my list from day one, it's that.
Brilliant. So I want to focus now on a completely different topic because I'm mindful of the time. Custom development services. Okay, so could you give us some examples of the types of custom projects that you've delivered for businesses? And also, as a side note, what sort of consultation tools would you use with a business?
Yeah, absolutely. So in terms of so what's interesting is about within 6 months of my journey, I was slowly starting to get asked about complex projects. I was marketing as an app website and app development agency, but naturally I was getting clients saying, well, actually, can the app do this or can we do this? And so custom development started very early on in my journey, and I had to make sure that I had the right partner to be able to fulfill those types of services. And funnily enough, we brought in Nitin as our CTO, who has carried out all of our custom development work at Digital Inspired for the last 6 years, which is brilliant news, tried and tested. But in terms of clients that we've won, we've done projects for PwC, we've done projects for the Ministry of Defence, the Foreign Office, some very large corporate organizations that we've been able to work with. And that's solely because we've been able to say yes to those types of projects. But in terms of consultation tools, I'll go back to your very first question. What are the things that we're trying to implement in here? And one of them is an app consultation tool. So I'm just going to show you one. It's very much in beta stage. It's not finished, but this is something that we're going to be rolling out to the whole network, hopefully within the next month, fingers crossed. They're all going to be getting access to this. So let me pull this up for you. And again, let me know when you can see the screen.
I can see it.
Lovely. So it's great because what it does is it's modularized. So it takes you and the client down a journey of what the requirements are for an app build, for example. So if the client, let's says, right, I want you've got firstly information boxes, so it gives you descriptions on all of these things. On the right hand side, you've got a quoting engine which builds out the cost. So you might have a client coming to you and say, right, I want an iOS and Android app. So you simply click that. They'll say, right, it needs to be compatible on all mobile devices, and it's a booking app that we want to put in. Then you press next, and what happens is it brings over a load of features that are key within the app. So I want a standard design. It needs to have a login within there. It needs to have some media streaming and live broadcasting. We want some geofencing for push notifications. People need to be able to buy in the app, and we need to add the booking system, for example. And then you can see it starts to build out the app in front of you for the client. And there's loads. This just keeps on going. There's loads and loads of different elements, but I won't bore you with all of them. And then you press next, and it actually summarizes the entire part of it and produces a document, a PDF, that you can share directly with your client. So this does two things. It showcases you as an authority. It allows you to conduct the meeting in a very professional way. It gives you a clarity of how to conduct the meeting. But also, I will guarantee that any other companies they speak to will not have anything like this from a consultation tool. So already in their head, they are very impressed with your level of service quality that is there. So that's just one example of the sort of custom development side, but also the consultation tools that we're building out for our partners. And we've got another one for websites that we're building out as well.
So I think for me, that form just looks incredibly intuitive, easy to use. There's obviously no coding. You're just clicking through the options. And I suppose you could even sit with a customer in a meeting or over Zoom and actually just get the requirements live from them, really, which is great. Two questions that I took note of. The first one was, you mentioned the Ministry of Defence.
Mm-hmm.
How on earth did you land the Ministry of Defence as a client?
It's a bit of a long story, but it came through. It was referral, effectively, through my partner networks, essentially, that were there. So I think that's one of the biggest parts of scalability. The more you broaden your network, your partner network, your client network, and your referral network, what starts to happen is, in the early stages, it's what I call push and pull marketing. And so in the early stages, you're having to push a lot. You're having to try and book meetings in. You're having to force the issue, as it were. As you start to scale and do more projects and build up your reputation and repertoire, actually it turns into pull marketing, which is leveraging your network, your clients, and your referral network to start talking about you and passing referrals your way. That's actually how it came about, because you could never get a project like that just by a cold call or a cold email. You need somebody singing your praises, saying these guys are great, you've got to speak to them. And then once you've got a meeting, it's obviously up to us to try and deliver and get it over the line. But to get that initial meeting is all through the sort of referral network that I've created.
I remember reading a while back that every person is only 7 connections away from anybody else in the entire world.
Yeah.
And actually, maybe it turns out you're only 2 connections away from a 5-star general. But I think the same is probably true for most people. Sometimes you don't realize just how big your network is once you go beyond 1 or 2 people and you have built that reputation. And then, of course, you need the tools to actually do well in the meeting, like the consultation form, which is kind of the other part of the project. So typically speaking, Eazi-Apps partners and Full Pivot partners, of course, let's not forget them. They sell mobile apps to small to medium-sized businesses. I have partners selling those apps anywhere from a couple of £1,000 to £6,000, £7,000 in some metropolitan areas. What would a typical custom developed mobile app retail for?
So I would say, depending on your geographical locations, I would say the range would be between for both iOS and Android. So on both stores, you'd be looking at circa, and again, it depends on the complexity of it.
Of
But let's
course.
go for something that's quite complex on iOS and Android. You'd be looking at between 20 and £30,000 for that type of build. And so for me, the custom development side of the business is not a volume-based business. It is a high-ticket item. You want 3, 4, 5, 6 projects a year maximum from that side of things. But it's just that small 5% of clients that say they have a requirement that's really complex and it's a really nice idea. And now you can say, yes, we can do this for you. And that's what it roughly retails for.
Brilliant. So I suppose even just delivering one a quarter is going to make a massive difference to your annual revenue,
Yes.
especially when you combine that with standard apps and websites you're delivering, the subscription services that we've got available now, social marketing, Business Center Pro. I'm mindful of the time, so I'm going to ask one more question before I open up the floor to see if anyone else has any queries. But thinking about the future, I think that's always a good place to end. Where do you see Eazi-Business in 5 years' time?
So again, it comes back, circles back to the why. I think that's in terms of creating change, transforming people's lives. I think that is what underpins everything that we do, and the reason I get up out of bed every morning. But I see Eazi-Business in 5 years' time as the #1 digital agency franchise globally, partners across every continent in the world. But my real ambition in 5 years' time is to scale to 500 partners, with the majority running 6-figure businesses. That's really the goal, that we create an ecosystem of really successful entrepreneurs who are growing, learning, and scaling together, essentially. And if we get that right, we will be the #1 franchise in this space globally. And so for me, that's where I see it. And for me, I think having partners join that journey who are ambitious, who can see the potential, who believe in themselves, and need that foundation and infrastructure behind them, I think it's very much a match made in heaven there.
Excellent. So it sounds like you really want to focus on the quality. So enabling 500 entrepreneurs to build quality businesses with a serious turnover, making a meaningful difference.
Yeah, if I had to pigeonhole it into 2 words, it's partner success. That's my focus. It's simply, how do we make sure our partner network is as successful as they can be, and they're getting the most out of their businesses, so that they're looking back and saying, do you know what? This has transformed my family, changed my life for the better.
Brilliant. A really fantastic answer, and really appreciate all of your time today, Priyesh, and going through my questions. Before I open up the floor, and before I forget, more importantly, as a promotion to everybody that's attending the webinar today, we are waiving monthly fees up until 2025 for all of you who want to join Eazi-Business over the next month. If this is something you want to take advantage of, and it is limited to the first 5 people who take up the offer, then please do schedule in a call with our business development team. And I'll drop the link in the chat box. Beyond that, I'd love to hear some questions from people, and we don't yet have any questions in the Q&A. So would anyone care to type any in at all? Oh, somebody has raised their hand. It is Juan, who we spoke to previously. Juan, I think Priyesh, as the host, you're going to need to select one so he can ask his question.
Yeah, 1 second. Ooh. There we go. You should be able to speak.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, my chat box is disabled, so that's why. So can you take care of that? Then I can put the question in there.
Well, I'll tell you what, just for saving time, do you want to ask your question?
Yes, yes. Okay, let me do that. Uh, right now, I'm using Wix.com to establish online store, and my question is that if I can integrate Wix.com with your system.
Okay, interesting question. So, with our web platform, they're two separate platforms, effectively, that are there. But one thing I would note is that the platform that we use is almost a hybrid of Wix and WordPress, and I'll qualify that a little bit for you. So, Wix is brilliant because it's intuitive. It's very easy to use. It's got a drag and drop builder. WordPress is brilliant because it's got all sorts of plugins, tech add-ons, apps, and different things that you can do from a functionality perspective. And I would actually say that our platform is the best of both worlds. Having used the platforms for many years, it's really really powerful. But in terms of integrating one platform into another, I would guess no. Probably a question for the tech team, Charles, isn't it? But I would probably guess no. That would probably be the case.
Yes. So you can't quickly port a Wix website over to our platform because they're different platforms. They're hosted on different servers. Just to build upon what Priyesh said, though, Wix is a great solution if you want to build a really quick and quite basic, informative site. I think if I were a hobbyist, well, I am a hobbyist, but not to the degree that I'm going to build a website for one of my hobbies. But if I did want to build a site, it's probably suitable for that. There are limitations if you're a business. So if you're a business owner, you need something that's hosted on a fast server. You need something that's GDPR compliant, that's secure, has SSL certification. The website needs to be found on the search engines. So there's lots of things that become important that can be hard to deliver on a basic platform like Wix. And then with WordPress, as Priyesh mentioned, actually you can do a fantastic amount of things on WordPress because there's, I'd say 101 plugins. There's probably 100,001 plugins for WordPress. But the problem is actually to manage all of those plugins and keep them all up to date and keep them up to date without the site being slowed down is a job in itself. And actually it can be a little bit too much for most small to medium-sized business owners. So really, I would say if you're a small to medium-sized business owner looking for a website, then our platform's a great fit.
I see. So then my next question is that my next option will be migration from Wix.com to your system. So how smoothly you guys can migrate from the Wix.com to your system?
So I think on that Wix website, you're going to have content like text, you're going to have images, you've got the business's domain, and I think all of those things could potentially remain the same. What you would need to do, though, is start out with a fresh layout. But the good news is we've got loads of templates from loads of industries that you can choose between. So there's plenty to get going to begin with. And the other thing to mention, is that actually our website development services for partners start at £250. And one of my developers would build an entire 5-page business grade website for you. And if you've got that content, we could facilitate that process quite quickly. So whilst you can't transfer all of the HTML and CSS over instantly. That build process, if you've got the site in place, should be relatively straightforward and quick.
I see. What about the effect on SEO? I mean, if you migrate one system to another, I'm worrying about the losing data or whatnot. You know, so
No,
SEO standpoint, what's going to be? I mean, there's no issue.
there wouldn't be an issue with that. So you've just got to follow best practices. So you've got to make sure that all the URLs are transferred over. You've got to make sure that the page titles and page descriptions are configured appropriately, so that if it's done correctly, you won't see a downturn, you'll see an upturn, because from an SEO perspective, there are two big ranking factors. One is site speed and one is mobile. And actually, the platform that we use, the site speed it's one of the quickest in the industry, and the mobile build is exceptional. So actually, if you copy over all the backend data, but then you bring it onto a platform that's quicker and better on mobile, actually it goes the other way one. It will actually improve your SEO.
I see. Okay. Sounds good. Okay. That was all. Thank you very much for your
questions.
answer.
Thank you.
Yeah, okay.
Brilliant one. Well, thank you for your questions. They were really interesting to answer, and I can see we've now got a couple of other people that have asked questions. So one, I'm just going to actually, I think Priyesh, you need to do this because you're the host now.
Yeah.
I don't know if you wanted to bring online. We've got Onyi, who's got a question there.
Yeah, let me. Oh, 1 second.
And we've got someone else that's anonymous. I wonder if we bring them online, will they lose their veil of anonymity? We shall see when we attempt.
Let's see. I'm just adding her in. There we go.
Onyi, do you want to go off mute and ask your question?
I wanted to find out, for example, if you join and you want to build your own website, just like Priya said when he was explaining, is it part of the package or do you have to pay separate to get that done?
So under our full pivot package, all partners get a brand and a 15-page website. We deliver that completely for you on your behalf. It will be an exceptional professional grade business website highlighting all of your services. But of course, if you wanted to build your own, you could do. But it is part of the package that we add the logo and the website development into a full pivot package.
Thank you. Another thing I want to ask, follow on to that. Do I have to bring my own idea of what I want the website to look like in that is going to be in line with your business development that you already have in place for your franchisee, or do I have to stick to the standard that you already set?
Such a good question. And actually, maybe I could just explain how that brand development process works.
Okay, thank you.
All you need to come up with is the name. And I can help you come up with a name. We can bounce off ideas between the two of us. And I've done that many times with entrepreneurs.
Okay.
Once we've got the name, we would create 5 different logos. And you would select the logo that you like. If you want to make a few tweaks, you can.
Okay.
And then once we got the logo, we create your brand guidelines. So it's like a sort of 12-page book, and it outlines the fonts, the logos, the colors, how to use the branding. And then from that, my marketing department will design your website, will also design your Facebook ads, your business cards. And then we've got a brand management platform that you can use to edit all of our other marketing materials. So essentially, the only thing you need is the business name, which some people tells me the hardest thing to think of.
Okay.
But my
That is
advice
good to
is
know.
go with something that's easy to remember.
Okay. Another thing I wanted to ask, in setting up the business, do I have to register it myself in the company house, or you do the registration? How does that work?
It's a really, really good question. So you can actually start off running the business either through a limited company,
Mm-hmm.
and if you want to register a company here in the UK, it's a really easy process. When you go
Mm-hmm.
onto Companies House, there's just a wizard that you go through. In fact, I've completed the form in 20 minutes and had my company details through the next day. So it's dead easy.
Okay.
The other option is you can start off as a sole trader or through a partnership, which is two sole traders working together.
Mhm.
If you want to start off as a sole trader for simplicity's sake, and then 6 months down the line, move your license with us over to that new company, we can make that happen almost instantly online, free of charge. So you actually get flexibility further down the road as well.
I'm just going to add to that, Charles. That's exactly what I did. So I started as a sole trader, and then within 6 months moved to a limited company. So I did exactly what you've described there.
Okay. Sorry. What's the benefit of starting off as a sole trader?
So a sole trader, effectively, you don't need to deliver the official company accounts. Essentially, it has different tax implications that are there. With a limited company, all the accounts need to go through Companies House. So there, with a limited company, there are more rules and regulations that you need to adhere to. Whereas with a sole trader, it is running under your name, just you as an individual. But both have pros and cons, effectively.
Okay, thank you so much. And another thing I wanted to ask is equally connected to that. Do you have your accountant that all your franchisees have to use, or do I have to use my own?
Really good question. So we don't have an accountant or even an accountancy package that you're forced into using. We
Okay,
do have recommended accountancy software that's
okay.
affordable and easy to use, and we've got recommended payment collection systems so you can get funds from your customers. But you're not tied into those services, and we're not going to be auditing the system that you use. So if you've got something in mind that you really like I know some people are really committed to Sage 1, then it's fine to use that service. It's up to you.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and I think I've got two more questions left, but thank you so much. So far, I'm satisfied with all the answers you've given. What's your franchise fee like if I join? Do I have a fee that I'm tied up to pay on a monthly basis, or how does that look like?
It's a really good question. So we've got different packages here at Eazi-Business. Eazi-Sites, our entry-level package is 5,995 with a 149 fee. And then we've got Full Pivot, which is our flagship digital
Say that
agent
again. Sorry,
package.
say that again. Say that again.
So we've got an entry-level package, Eazi-Sites, that comes in at 5,995
Mm-hmm.
with a monthly fee of 145.
Mm-hmm.
We've also
Okay,
got
monthly fee is £145.
correct.
Okay.
We've also got other packages, including Full Pivot, our
Uh-huh.
agent package, which is more expensive, but it's going to enable you to deliver app sites, SEO, and work towards, building that larger kind of business that Priyesh has
Mm,
scaled. My advice would be to book in a Zoom call with someone on the business development team, because they can open up those packages and find one that's a really good fit for your budget and the type of business
mhm.
to build as well.
Okay, okay. So I can either pay on a monthly basis or on a yearly basis for that.
So there's two fees. There's
Mm-hmm.
the joining fee and there's the monthly fee. So you need to pay both of them.
So both of them. So the monthly one you said is 159.
It's 145 per month.
145. Okay, per per
Yeah.
month. Sorry,
There's,
I was a bit distracted and I didn't get that quite right. Thank you for going back again. And the yearly fee is how much?
there's no yearly fee. There's a one-time joining fee because there
Okay,
are quite a few
okay.
costs that are incurred when we're getting the business set up, like
Mm-hmm,
your live training program, your
mm-hmm,
one-to-one mentoring with a successful Eazi business partner.
mm-hmm.
We're also going to build all of your marketing materials as well and set you up on our technology platforms. So, like
Okay.
with all franchises, there is a joining fee, but it's just payable once, and then there's a relatively small monthly fee.
And how much is the joining fee? Sorry to cut you short there.
It depends on the package that you want. Our
Okay, okay,
entry level
okay.
package is 5,995.
Uh-huh.
Eazi-Apps is 7,995, and
7,995.
full
Mm-hmm.
pivot is 17,995.
Okay, 17,995. Okay, you have 5,995, then you have 7,995, and then you have 17,995.
Correct. You've got it.
So the list is the 5,995. That's just like the basic one, if I'm correct.
You know, you can build a great business with all of our packages.
Mm-hmm,
And actually, Eazi-Sites is a perfect package, for someone
mm-hmm,
looking for a part-time business. Maybe
mm-hmm,
it's your first business, and that's the kind of budget you've got.
mm-hmm.
I think to realistically achieve the kind of growth that Priyesh has achieved, you're going to need to have access to a wider range of solutions. And I think that's where, full pivot comes in as a really great opportunity as well.
And
Uh,
that is the 17 one, yeah? If I'm correct.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I think when it comes to finding a good fit as well, what I would recommend doing is hitting that button to schedule a call. It's at the top of the chat box,
Mm-hmm.
and having a chat with our business development team. They can go through the options available
The
and find
options.
some. I'm sure they'll
Okay.
find something that's a great fit.
Okay, just one more minute. There's something you mentioned while you are answering this that is bringing up my curiosity as well. You said that these fees are only payable just once.
The joining fee is payable once. Yeah.
Once, okay. And if you join, do you have a limited time of contract, or you just is how does that work?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's a minimum 12-month term. So that's the minimum amount of time you're committed to running a business.
Mm,
My advice to entrepreneurs is if you're looking at a business to launch, you should be committed for at least a year, regardless of the business. I don't think I can
mm-hmm.
think of a single business that would require less of a commitment than that. I do have quite a few other questions, and I'm mindful that we're at the 1 hour
Okay.
mark. If it's okay, Priyesh, I'm gonna suggest bringing Rejoice on the line.
Yeah, we've got Rejoice and Yogi. So I think I'll bring Rejoice in first, and then we can bring in Yogi. So let's see, Rejoice. There we go. Rejoice, you should be on if you unmute.
Great, thank you so much. Priyesh, I just wanted to ask you this question, and maybe Charles, you can pitch in as well. Now that you have come in on board, the training program, will it include your toolkit, or do I have to buy the book?
No, it is included. So I'm actually gonna add. We're still deciding on the full format of it. But firstly, the blueprint or the success playbook will be included as part of the package. We would never charge for that because I think it's so important to every partner's success. But we're considering going one step further, and we're having a discussion next week on this of actually running weekly sessions with myself to go through chapters and actually do workshops with our partner network itself as well. So it actually is even better than what you've asked there. It's free, but you'll probably be getting 1 to 2 hours of my time every single week to go through key aspects of that playbook as well.
Excellent. One more question. I know you have other questions. One last one. Which skills did you employ that you felt were critical to your success, that accelerated your business, that you would advise new partners to acquire?
So I think in terms of, it's a great question because there are quite a few skills that you need. But if I had to pigeonhole one, I would say the ability to communicate and network is a really key thing, because when you're looking at marketing strategies, there's so many ways you can market a business. But I found that networking and communication is right at the top of the list. You know the analogy that I gave to Charles of, well, if you over communicate and you over deliver, you're actually in the top 10% of your industry. It's little things like that that make an absolutely massive difference to your business.
And then now that you say, talking about your accelerated growth, I know you started as a sole proprietor, but then in terms of the people that you brought on board, what were those?
So I have worked, so in terms of my team, it can be explained in two parts. Number one, I brought on partners. So for example, I was often getting asked for, when we're doing the website, can you do the branding as well? So I work with a partner who's local to me. I've worked with him for 6 years to deliver all the branding projects on our behalf. So it's very much on a, rather than a salaried basis, it's on a partner-led basis. So that's one aspect of it. And then the second aspect is the Eazi-Business team. So as I was getting busier and busier, going to the team and saying, can you build this website for me? Can you help me with this question and query that I've got from a particular client, was really, really impactful. And the reason I chose that model is because your monthly fees are already paying for the Eazi-Business team. So you're buying a team effectively. And then anytime a partner was needed on a project, I know what their costs are, and I would simply take a margin on the top of it. So what it means is that it created a very agile business, a very lean business to be able to scale up. So that's how I've done it for 6 years.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Pleasure, pleasure. Thank you for the question. And I'm going to move on to Yogi because he's had his hand up, I think, the longest. So apologies, Yogi. And then Michael thereafter. And actually, Rejoice has come back on. So I'll come back to you, Rejoice, at the end. But Yogi, fire away if you unmute yourself.
Okay. Hi there, guys. Just a quick question. One of them was maybe answered a little bit earlier just now with Rejoice's question, where I was going to ask about scaling and how you, I missed the first part of the talk, so forgive me if you covered it already in that sense. So I kind of joined just the last few, like 10 minutes or whatever. So yeah, so in terms of scaling, and you've just explained, Priyesh, that you mainly used kind of partners and for branding and other things and so on, and then also leverage the Eazi team as well, in that sense, for whatever services are provided on that level. So in terms of, I guess, that's scaling aspect of it. And I know you said the kind of maybe the top package that you have has maybe more services available for for selling and giving to clients and all that kind of stuff. I don't know what the question might be now in that sense. So the top package, how much? Maybe I need to go on your website and look again and see what it offers exactly for that top package in that sense, like in terms of what the services are. So is it like building software, SEO and digital marketing and literally everything on that digital marketing front and so on?
So I think with our top package full pivot, there's kind of two key benefits to it. So the first benefit is you're getting access to our entire range of products. So mobile apps, custom developed apps, websites, SEO, social media marketing, reputation management. It's an extensive list. And what that enables you to do is charge an individual client a lot more on a monthly basis. Because if you offer a customer a website, you might make £50 or £100 if it's an e-commerce website. If you're essentially going in and fulfilling the needs of a marketing department, then you can charge that single client 7, 8, £1,000, 800, £1,000. So the earning potential is a lot higher. And then the second element of that package is that we'll actually create a unique agency for you to operate. So it'll have custom branding, a custom 15-page website, custom adverts. You'll have your own unique identity in the marketplace. All of that coming together gives you a great opportunity to build the kind of highly scalable business that Priyesh has developed over the last 6 or 7 years. So it's a really great option for an entrepreneur who wants to build that kind of enterprise.
Okay, and in terms of current franchisees and things, would you say they are mainly sticking at the entrepreneurial level, or are they kind of going beyond it scaling wise, as it was like hiring people, or getting themselves out of the business maybe a little bit? I don't know.
It's a real mix. So we've had marketing agencies that have wanted to partner with us because they want to offer additional services. I've worked with entrepreneurs as young as 17 years old who are launching their first website development business. And I've worked with really ambitious people that have had 4 employees in place by the end of year 1. For us, it's about empowering entrepreneurs to be successful. And one thing I recognize is that everyone's different, and when people join the network, I think it's important that we recognize that and put the right support in place. And I think that's why we have things like 3 to 6 months of one-to-one mentoring, and we'll get a partner that's a good fit. It's why we've got live training, and it's why we're going to launch the workshops that Priyesh is going to deliver as well, which again, it's going to enable us to deliver that support and that assistance in a really focused way.
Yeah. Okay.
Just
Great.
to add to that, Yogi, I think that's the beauty of Eazi-Business. It gives you the framework, the infrastructure, the foundation, the backing of a team, of training, of mentorship, of sales, of marketing. But then it's very much based on your own personal ambition, goals, life needs, and requirements. And some people just want a business that gives them a work-life balance. Some people want to scale this to their digital agencies to very, very large heights. So it's very much based on your own ambitions. And I think that is the special part of the Eazi-Business model, to be honest, because it allows for all of it.
Okay, yeah, great, thanks. And final bit would be just to ask, obviously on the leverage of the Eazi team and what you offer in terms of competitiveness. I guess I don't know where the team kind of resides, or you kind of leverage the cost benefit of outsourcing to abroad, like in India or Southeast or wherever it is, or whether you have mainly people in this country that are doing it. So imagine if you have a client and obviously they're going to shop around and all that kind of stuff, and you want to offer them a decent competitive advantage as well as service in that sense. So trying to get the balance right. So how would that sort of be, like, say somebody's developing an app or something like that, for example?
It's a really good question. So I think the first thing to highlight is that if you call Eazi-Business as a partner, or you email in or you hop on live chat, it's going to be a member of the team that's based in the UK that's going to be corresponding with you. So you're not going to be getting through to a call center in India. You're going to be speaking to a specialist with lots of experience that can deliver quality support right away. And I think there's value in that. And it's something that I would never remove from Eazi-Business's proposition in terms of the offering that we give to partners. I think the second thing to mention is that actually our fulfillment services are really reasonable. So our website development services start at £250. Our app development services are quite similar. When you go to market, I'm a firm believer that you should compete on value rather than price, because there will always be someone out there willing to build a cheaper website or a cheaper app, I can promise you, if you look at the global market. But actually, if you go out there and you really get to know your customer, you understand their pain points, and you put together a proposal for a solution, a technical solution that really answers those problems, yes, you may not be the cheapest quote, but actually you're going to deliver the most value. And in that scenario, you're going to win the business every time.
Yeah, I would agree. I think if you're positioning yourself based on price, it's very much a race to the bottom. It's whoever is the cheapest, and if you're willing to keep going lower and lower, it is very much a race to the bottom. In my agency, I've always positioned ourselves based on quality and based on value. And even if I'm not the cheapest in the market, I've won projects based on just that, because they believe we can deliver to a higher standard. But having said that, if you wanted the fulfillment services via EB, £250 for a 5-page website, considering it's built in the UK, you won't find. I think you'd struggle to find that price anywhere, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Okay. Great. Yeah. And is this webinar going to be? It's recorded, so are you going to be sending out the link for maybe the full webinar? Because I missed the first sort of half hour.
Absolutely. That's Charles's next job. So absolutely.
Great. All right. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. I've got. Have we got time for one more question? I've got Michael or.
I think should we have one final question from Michael, since he's had his hand up for quite some time, and then I think we're at an hour and 15, so we should probably wrap things up.
Yeah, absolutely. So Michael, you should be on.
Hello. Yeah, you got it right. It's Michael. Michael, myself, I've been with yourself, Charles, since 8 years now. I've been following Eazi-Apps for so many years. I've been to these webinars a few times, but I do have a problem. The question I was going to ask is regarding the joining fee. Question is it possible to have like a payment plan for people that cannot pay the 5,995 all in one go? Because if I could afford it, I would have done this. About 8 years now, I've been following you guys. And I've not been able to save up £5,000. I work in the NHS, and I'm increasingly frustrated working in the NHS. I need to set up my own business. That's why I've been hanging on to you guys, and I hope one day I will join. So that's my question. Is there a kind of a payment plan to split the money, maybe 2, 3, 4 installments based on capability, so we can actually get in? Thank you.
It's a really good question. And Michael, let me start by thanking you for your work for the NHS. Without people like you, this country would be in deep trouble. We don't offer funding directly as a central organization. And actually, unfortunately, when you launch your business, a lot of costs are incurred at the start, like taking you through training, mentoring, producing your marketing materials. And whilst sometimes it can be tempting to remove things from that mix, actually, all I would be doing is limiting your chance of being successful, which wouldn't be good for either of us. There are options for funding here in the UK. And what we can do, Michael, is if you want to contact me directly, so schedule in a call with the business development team and they'll put you through to me.
Okay.
We can hop on a 20-minute Zoom call directly, and I can walk you through some of those options that are available here in the United Kingdom.
That would be great.
No problem at all.
All right. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Pleasure. Thank you.
Okay, well, I'm mindful that we've been going for an hour and 15 minutes. I think before we started, I said to Priyesh, we won't go on longer than an hour, but here we are. I think that's maybe testament to the quality questions that we've received from everyone that's given up their time today. Again, thank you, Priyesh, for participating in the interview. To everyone that's attended today, again, we are running this offer, 3 months free or no monthly fees up until 2025 for the first 5 people or the next 5 people to join the network. So please do click on that link in the chat box and schedule in a call with the business development team today. Thanks for your time, everyone.
Thank you all. Charles, thank you for having me on, and thank you all that joined, and look forward to speaking to you in the future.
Take care, everyone. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.